After 12 years, I cheated on my boyfriend with my boss. Just to get this out of the way first, my boyfriend and I are completely okay with not being legally married right now. We pretty much are in every other sense. Physically, emotionally, financially, etc. We've been together since I was 16. He has completely lost interest in X with me over the last year or two. I know he still masturbates, because I've caught him pinching one off in the shower, and there is adult videos on our computer. When I throw myself at him, I am not successful very often. We used to have X daily in our teens, and now I am lucky to have X once every 4-6 weeks. I've somehow convinced myself that even then, he does it to get me to leave him alone. There may be a couple of things that are affecting our X life. About 2 years ago, he started taking ADHD medication that says reduced X drive is a side effect. I am currently trying to get over a bout of depression that started about a year ago. We are both financially effed and in school. Communication has always been a strong point in our relationship. Or so I thought. I've told him that I want to have more X. And he says he'll try. I pounce him. Nothing happens. I wait for him to come to me. It doesn't happen. He doesn't want to stop taking his meds, or even try a different brand. I've also told him that I didn't get depressed, or is it disappointment, until we stopped having X regularly. But he says it doesn't help. So, in the last 6 months or so, I've tried to pretty myself up quite a bit. Have lost weight and doing other things that make me happy. I would like to think our lack of X because he's stressed. But then why is he wanking it without me while I am in the house? My communication with him this time hasn't helped. He refuses to work while he is in school undergrad. So I had to pick up a crappy full-time job while writing my thesis for a MS. I almost immediately found my boss very attractive. I know. Bad idea. But had no plans to do anything. I've been in a relationship for 12 years. It didn't even cross my mind. Over the past several months we started joking around at work and enjoying each other's company. Soul tension began to rise. But I thought it was just me. So again, no worries. Just my lusty imagination. Right. Recently, the weather got bad while at work and the roads were terrible. I work at a hotel, so they put people up for the night who had to work the next day. We both had to work. So he invited me into his room to have a drink before I went to mine. We ended up talking for a couple of hours and getting shit-faced. He seduced me and I let him. It was the most fun best X I've had in years. I feel horrible for having so much fun. I've never considered myself a cheater. And I know this would end my relationship with my boyfriend if he knew. My boss is wanting more and I feel confused. This man is a wolf. He is kryptonite to me. I told him I have to stay away from him. But I don't want to and am not sure if I could. I can't remember the last time I lusted after someone this much, not really emotionally attached as far as I know. I feel like I am stuck in a raunchy Lady Gaga song. I had to stifle everything I could just to not jump his bones at work yesterday. My boyfriend and I are in a rough patch, apparently rougher than I thought right now, and I want to say we can move on from this. It just isn't happening right now. And who knows when. Of course I still love him. But I've never been tested like this before. My boyfriend is otherwise very good to me. Aside from the selfish behavior of refusing to work and refusing X. What do you do when a Mr. Right Now is in front of you? Almost every day at work. Who is completely okay with the fact that you have a boyfriend. I don't think I am looking for justification of my behavior. Just some thoughts. So much for being the nice girl next door. Additional info. 1. Relationships at work have happened before. No one seems to really care. Oddly. Even more strange. I've heard the GM, not the boss, in said discussion joke about trying to be a matchmaker for people at work. Two aside from a weekly check to help pay the bills. This job has nothing to do with my intended career path, and therefore if I need to quit, I will. 3. I won't be stringing the boss along. I am pretty sure we both understand there is no emotional relationship here. For despite what you may think, yes, I really do love my boyfriend. I wasn't planning on this at all. Never. But I let it happen. I have to live with that. I get it. He's messed up in the past as well. I haven't decided if it helped me when he told me. Update. I tried to talk to my boyfriend about our ex-life this morning. He literally ignored me. I asked him why he wasn't responding, and he told me he had to go to school. He had 2 hours before his first class. No progress there. I also talked with my boss last night. Extensively. We were discussing our lapse in ethics, and he responded that he follows the moral codes of Oscar Wilde. The only way to get rid of temptation is to yield to it. He then asked me if I had plans on Friday. So, no progress there either. But I must say, it's flattering to me to feel desired by an attractive man. No matter what his actual intentions may be. Plan of escape from both situations is ensuing. Whether or not I am successful on either task remains to be seen. Reddit. Thank you for your constructive posts and thoughtful advice. And to those who judge me with your self-righteous posts, I hope you feel better about yourselves. You've made your post all about him not wanting X and masturbating in the privacy of his own home. Masturbation and lack of X drive are a sign of a relationship problem. Sure, but it sounds like you want X as part of your relationship to the point where you're willing to jeopardize your job, your relationship, and your reputation. Clearly, you've upped the stakes well beyond the situation's merit. In literature, a climax is also known as a point of no return. The situation can no longer be undone, and the consequences must be dealt with, and there is no chance of going back to the way things were originally. My suggestion is to leave him. If he's cool with not being married to you after being with you 12 years, and not having X with you, he'll probably be cool with you leaving him. Unless the only reason you want to be with him is because you're afraid of being alone, and only struck out like this to get a feeling of something you've been lacking. In which case you're not going to do anything anyway, and you're going to string both of these guys along until you have a moment of clarity in a few months, that will reveal to you some other embarrassing truth about yourself, and you'll continue the same pattern regardless of circumstances. Geography. And men. Anyway. Best of luck. I am afraid I don't have any advice for what to do. But what you should absolutely not do is try to continue your relationship with your boyfriend while continuing to put yourself in situations where your boss will come seduce you again so you can pretend you're not at fault when you sleep with him. Pretty sure it's my fault. No denying that. Second story. My wife flirts with other men, and it makes me incredibly insecure, uncomfortable. My wife and I are both 28. Together for almost 8 years. Married for 3 and share a 2-year-old son. To get something out the way. My wife is an attractive woman with a pretty face. Small waist and round behind. I'm not one of those guys that expects to be with a beautiful woman. And other guys are not going to approach flirt with her. And or her to be totally dismissive of all other guys' attention. I fully understand that it's nice to receive attention from someone other than your partner. And you returning the favor in a harmless way is totally fine. There's even been instances where we've been out grocery shopping, or just out together, and a guy will walk up to us and call her beautiful and blatantly hit on her, and she'll thank him. Tell him she's married, and we both just laugh about it together. This whole flirting thing has been going on for around 3-4 months to my knowledge now. The first time it happened was when we went to a friend's housewarming party. We arrived and naturally just settled in. and gravitated in separate directions with our friends. Something like 20-30 minutes go by, and I'm stood chatting with my friends. I look over to the stairway and see my wife stood up. Huge smile on her face. Glass of wine in one hand and giggling like crazy, with some good-looking guy in his mid-20s who I've never seen before. I go over and introduce myself. And instantly feel the flirtatious atmosphere. I stood there for what seemed like forever, with him constantly letting my wife know he's attracted to her. And her telling him things like he could have any girl he wanted. All while I'm stood right there. One of the things that really got to me was when he jokingly suggested he and my wife try naked yoga together. Which my wife responded with a giggle and, "I'll check my schedule." That really made me feel disrespected and pissed off. I made my way back to my friends, and for the rest of our time at the party, I didn't speak to my wife. Which she didn't seem to notice, and was still spent most of her time flirting with him. Even on the drive home, I ignored her, and she simply called her friend and chatted about the party. The next day, I tried to not bring it up and just thought to myself, it was a one-off. And I didn't do enough to let her know I was uncomfortable. Since then, I've noticed my wife has been putting more flirtatious pics on social media. With her in her various bikinis, tight workout clothes, short skirts and skin-hugging t-shirts. I've also noticed she's been responding to the comments from guys that have commented on how sexy she looks. And even more ridiculous, I've noticed the guy from the party leaving emojis and comments like, "Damn, you look naughty in this pic." And she won't usually respond to this guy, but she likes the comments from him. Now, every time we go out to a party social gathering, I'll find her flirting more openly with guys right in front of me. I haven't said anything. Only little things like, "Do you want me to go and leave you to it?" Which she'll laugh it off as me being sensitive. I'm worried since she hasn't been like this for the entire time we've been together. I keep thinking does she want to sleep with other guys or something? I'm also worried if something is wrong with her. When she had our son, she had postpartum depression. And it stopped her from working to get back in shape. Which made things worse for her since she takes her health and looks very seriously. It's only been a year or so since she's got back in shape and gained her soul appetite back. I'm thinking maybe she could be acting out because she was so insecure about her body when she had our son. And she feels like she finally has her mojo back or something. Thank you for reading my problem. And please, any advice is much appreciated. Thanks. This isn't something I can talk to my friends about, and this is my last resort. My husband and I have been together for 20 years and got married while we were still teenagers. Anyway, in my younger and wilder years I was a huge flirt. But I honestly didn't know I was doing it. I just thought I was being the life of the party, so to speak. My husband straight up told me that he was uncomfortable with it, and you know what I did? I stopped immediately and started being more aware of my actions. If he never said anything, I wouldn't have known. I stopped because he's the man I chose to spend my life with, and I respect the hell out of him. You have to be completely honest with her or nothing will change. You need to talk to her. You should have the very first time this happened. Now you've let it lurk inside you for months and become a thing. So talk to her. I think your theory about her finally feeling back to normal after having a baby is pretty likely. So, time to have a chat. Third story. 26M. My wife 26F acts like she's single for another guy. Hey. Me and my wife have been married for little over a year. And so far it's been the time of my life. I am getting into a new line of work which I love. We're starting to pay off debt and everything has just been on the rise for both of us. She used to suffer from depression and recently came back to working full-time. Few months back, she starts talking to this guy online. They seem to get along quite well. And I don't think twice about it. Until one day she leaves her messages with him open on her computer. I can't help but look and see that she's been telling him about her exes. Vague but descriptive enough to identify myself at the end of the list. I confronted her about this. And she had some half-assed excuse that I chose to believe because I couldn't be arsed at that point. I asked her if he knew she was married. To which she said yes. A couple of weeks go by. And by now they've started Snapchatting frequently. I've peeked sometimes and have seen that it's not your typical friendly conversation, it's just plain flirting. She's sending selfies to him. He replies with compliments. It bothers me because she always tries to look as attractive as possible, including her cleavage. Lets her hair down just for the picture and then puts it up again, but rarely does for me. His compliments are less in the manner of "you look great today," and more about how her boobs and how sexy she is. I bring him up to discussion with her again. And this time she admits that while he doesn't actually know she's married, she hasn't said specifically that she's single. She explains that she didn't tell him because she's afraid it'll make him uneasy. It won't be as casual. I tell her that I have no problems with her making friends. But if they're going to be close enough as to be sending cute selfies, and on most days communicate more than me and her, I want him to know that she's married. She lashes out at me and tells me I have no idea what it's like to be a girl online. And that it's practically impossible to make male friends as a married woman. She says all guys have naughty intentions from the start, and then you put them in the friend zone. I don't identify with this at all. Keep in mind she's not at all open about this. She started being more cautious with all of it. And whenever he sends her something she makes sure I am not around when she opens it. Since it's mostly on Snapchat, there is no use going through her phone to find proof. And it's something I am uncomfortable with doing anyways. I guess I feel neglected. She has a low X drive, less than 1 MO. And says she's always tired and rarely wants to do stuff together. Which is why it irritates me how much time she's spending being hot on pictures for him. I compliment her every day and make sure she knows I love her more than anything. We share chores, etc. I always strive to be the best I can be. I sometimes just feel like she's in this marriage for convenience. This is my jealous trust issue brain talking, which sucks because I am in this for her. I have trust issues since before. And I am not sure if I am being too sensitive. I once threatened to tell him the truth. To which she replied that if I do, I will have to move out. Because that means I overrule her decision not to tell him. Would appreciate any advice. I feel like shit about this. The thing is that I can't know if she's been sending more intimate pictures. It's just a gut feeling. She sends pictures to every one of her daily doings, which is how she justifies their friendship. Physical cheating is not possible because of the distance. But we've previously agreed that sending nudes is considered cheating in this relationship. Another justification of not telling him is that she wants to be her own person as well. Because she feels like she is considered my wife among our friends. This I know is just bullshit. But she's much more talented in making an argument than I am. And convincing her by discussion just doesn't seem to work. She has plenty of her own male friends who know she's married. And I don't have a problem with any of them at all. What you said about depressed people really makes sense. But I am worried she really believes everything she's saying. I just want everything to be alright. I vowed to love her for the rest of my life. And I'll fight tooth and nail to do so. I'd do anything to fix this. But I guess I'll just have to have my fingers crossed that she's bluffing in case I do tell him. Because that's where this ship is headed right now. It really beats me how she could throw that ultimatum in my face. It's the last thing I expected from her when I told her how badly this was affecting me. In no universe is what she doing appropriate or sensible. Her lashing out at you shows that she is well aware of this. And the ultimatum she has given you that she will kick you out if you do the right thing shows just how desperately she is holding on to this deception. There is no sense to what she is arguing. What she is doing is flirting. Very straightforwardly. That is not the way friends interact. And it is particularly not likely you can be friends by lying to each other. He is leading him on. And there is no reason for it. As she will be cruel no matter which path she takes from here. She either cheats on you or shuts him down. She is digging herself a very nasty pit. It has to be put back on her. How is this an appropriate friendship? Why is she insisting on a friendship with a person with very specifically soul intents? How is that sensible in the short or the long run? What differentiates what she is doing from regular old cheating? What does she consider the line in the sand? She will inevitably not answer these questions. But you may glean some insight into what exactly she is stressed about when she inevitably melts down at you. I get the impression this is a desirability control thing. A common tendency for depressed people. She likes the hold she has on him, but may not want to explore it. That said, what she is doing to you is cruel. And she must be made aware of that in a completely flat, emotionless and no-nonsense way. If you get emotive and lash at her, she will cling to that and say she was doing all this because you are mean. If you tell him the truth, she will cling to that by saying you betrayed her. If you ignore it, she will cling to that by saying that she was lonely. Depressed, anxious people seek vindication. And there are many easy ways to manipulate this situation. As you'll note, she has already started. This is a hard road to walk. I am sorry that you have to do it at all. Especially as you are likely all that has kept her afloat. But used to suffer from depression is never the way it plays out. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.